The account of King Hezekiah really is an inspiring little story. In 2 Chronicles chapter 29, 30, 31, we have the sort of abbreviated account of Hezekiah's reign and all the religious reforms that he brings in. And there's some great lessons to be learned. The nation of Judah were way off track, and Hezekiah becomes the king and really puts out the edict to the people to say, listen, our parents lost their way and they worshipped false gods and they built false idols and they led us astray, and so now we're going to clean that up. And so he does an enormous job of cleansing out the nation, and he tells the priests and the Levites, go and clean out the temple, and it takes them 16 days to get all the junk out the temple, to tidy it up and get it ready for proper ministry again. And so Hezekiah then puts out a call that people will gather and they will have an atonement offering that brings cleansing to the nation. Then Hezekiah wants to celebrate the Passover, and so he puts out the invitation to the whole of Israel as well, all the northern tribes. And so for the most part he's ridiculed for the invitation, but some people do respond from Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh and a couple of other places where there's small contingents show up to celebrate Passover at the temple in Jerusalem under Hezekiah's leadership with the newly appointed priests and Levites. And this event is an enormous success. In fact, there's such a huge gathering, it goes on for a week longer than it was even intended to. And there's just vast numbers of bulls and goats and sheep that are brought there for the sacrifice and for celebration, and really for this enormous national barbecue. Actually, when the temple was functioning at its highest, it was a massive meat shop amongst other things, and so it would provide meat for the community as well as it went through the ceremonial systems. But the beautiful part of it, I think, is just right near the end of chapter 31, where we're given a insight into how this all works, just to say, look, the people, they gathered, they worshipped, they celebrated, they paid attention to the book of the law. Under Hezekiah's leadership, they made great progress in cleansing the land and turning themselves back to God. And there's two little moments that really caught my eye. One was when the people were celebrating Passover, many of them weren't actually ceremonially clean. They hadn't prepared themselves properly. And so Hezekiah prays for them and says, Lord, these people aren't ceremonially clean, but they are seeking your face, so can you please have mercy on them? And we're told that God hears the prayer and blesses them in response to Hezekiah's prayer, and the people receive his favor as a result. So this wonderful little moment where grace really overcomes the law, you could say, yeah, they're not ceremonially clean, but they are in the right place with God, and so they're blessed. And then the second little moment is really just a little summary statement where it says, and the people prospered. God's favor was upon them. And really it's a telling remark that when we pay attention to God's way, when we seek to walk in it, we'll never be perfect, but we can be sincere. And if we sincerely walk in God's way and try and have our lives aligned with his word and his truth and his priorities, then there is this sense of blessing and favor, and in that word that people were prospering. And this isn't a gospel that says, well, you'll get rich if if you say the right prayer to God, but rather their lives flourished. There was a goodness, there was a nourishment, there was a health to their community, their lives, their relationships, their families, their faith, their worship. The whole nation really was in a place which was just shining brightly and enjoying the favors of God. And then alternatively, we know that as soon as the kings or the nation veer off that path and are ignoring God's ways or chasing after false idols, then the wheels come off really quickly. It's an inevitable consequence. A challenge and an encouragement to all of us again, probably, just to say, okay, let's just sincerely seek to walk in the way of God and to know his favor and his nourishment and the health and vitality that comes from that, both spiritually and relationally and even physically, socially. There's this blessing and this goodness that accompanies our lives when we are walking in that way with God, as Hezekiah demonstrated brilliantly back in the day. So just some insight and encouragement there that we can receive. Until next time, peace.